Good morning and welcome to today's movement session. I'm Justin. Thank you for joining me this morning, or whatever time it is for you out there. I'm lucky enough to be out here with the sunrise, so maybe it's a little heavy on the eyes. Also, I'm trying out this mic here for the first time, so let's see how that turns out. Today we're going to go through a movement session that is somewhere between basic and intermediate. Of course, basic, intermediate, advanced. All those things have relativity to depending on you and your body type. So always regulate what you think you can manage and see what you can do. Push yourself, but make sure it's within reason. We're going to go through a combination of mobility and strength focused movement patterns. So we'll start with a warm-up, kind of get the body introduced to itself and ready for some of the longer sequences we'll do, which we'll build up to. So hope you enjoy. Let's get started. So find a position that is comfortable for you to be in, just to bring some more attention to your breathing. It could be seated, it could be lying down. I do recommend seated or kneeling if you're comfortable. Support yourself with a pillow or a level if you need, and then we go from there. So let's take 2-3 minutes here and just bring some awareness through our breathing, energize the body a little bit, and if you like, set an intention for what you'd want from this session. Eyes open or closed, up to you. If you can, try to breathe through the nose, in and out, or at the least in through the nose and out through the mouth. Really feel that air go all the way down into your depths, filling the belly and the lungs from the bottom up. Wherever you are, take 2 more good quality breaths. And then we meet on our backs for our first preparatory move, a good old bridge. So starting with a bridge is a good idea for many situations. So for now, hold it up there, just place your feet directly under the knees more or less, get into contact with the ground. It's a good thing to start with, or early on, because these puppies, the glute muscles, they drive so much of our stability and they're a very useful muscle to strengthen. But they tend to fall asleep every now and then, so we just got to make sure we're waking them up and getting them ready. We're going to hold it here for about 5 more seconds, and we're going to move hips up and down. So really focus on signaling to those glute muscles there. Don't just lift the hips by arching the back, actually drive the hip through the foot. Right, let's go up and down 5 times. I'm in the habit of rolling the spine up and down. You should follow if you feel you can do that as well. But as the priority is driving the hips, it's not as much of a necessary thing now. Got 2 more like that. Tuck the tail, roll it up, drive through the hips. 1 last one. There we go. While we're here, what we're going to do is enter into a hollow body hold. So the bridge, we would have worked on the back line of the muscles with a little bit of core engagement. This is somewhat flipping the grid, and we're going to focus on the front line muscles here, and the core. You have variations to do this. The longer you are, the tougher it is. What we're going to do is 3 bouts of 10 seconds. So this is the sort of standard example. A more advanced version is to have the arms up ahead. But of course, if that's a bit much, any variation like this, where top of the butt to the middle of the back is on the ground, nice and secure, Everything else is up is good. So choose your position, and we do 10 seconds times 3 with a small break between. All right, first round, 10 seconds. And if there's a little bit of vibration, maybe you can hear the vibration in my voice. That's actually a good thing. You're giving demands to the muscle system. Just make sure your back is engaged enough in terms of the trunk of you. Right, small breather. 1 down, 2 to go. You can wiggle about if it helps. Round 2. I'm going to go for the overhead. The trick is to do these advanced things and still talk without your voice shaking too much. Not going to lie, pretty tricky. A few more moments to go there. And there we go. And we got 1 more to go. 1 more hollow body. Let's do it. So really focus on starting to project energy through not just your center but towards your extremities. So warm up the hands, get things prepared. Last few moments. There we go. Especially if that's the first pair of moves you've done today. Never underestimate them. They're a very good builder of your foundation. Okay, let's go to the tabletop here. I'm just going to get my face into the sun. So hands under shoulders, knees under the hips. Keep the toes untucked like that. And what we're going to do is just investigate the joints of the wrists, the shoulders, the spine and the hips and the knees. A lot of the foundation. I'm making circles. Doesn't matter which way, we'll do both. Just kind of feel out. Can I go in a pretty big circumference, or are my wrists telling me actually I need a bit more time? Can change direction. So keeping the arm straight will help you get a bit more feedback through the shoulders. And you can start to worm your spine as well. Right, we get put more attention to the wrists. So you're going to shorten our tabletop a bit more. So the space between hands and knees is a bit smaller. Keeping the toes untucked. So the goal here is to rock back, give some love to the toes, stretch them out a little bit. And then when we shift forward, we get that extra range in our wrists. So again, everyone's wrists mobility will have their limit, their parameters. So we just want to start pushing that boundary in a safe way. Hands nice and strong, fingers wide. We're going to shift forward twice more like that. And you can sit on the kneeling and just shake it out. Rolling the wrist like this helps a lot. I do a lot of stuff on the wrist and the hands, inversion stands, acrobatics. So this helps a lot. Yeah, there. Alright. We've got some company here. Going to teach us how to move really well. Well, this cat loves love. Right, let's get a little bit more into those hips. So what we're going to do here is going to do a classic hip opener. So you're welcome to keep the back leg knee down or up. Up will generally give more of a range. So we're going to step that foot outside the hand. And again here, we're just going to make some small maneuvers to investigate how the hips are feeling. Especially if we've been sitting a lot or if you've just woken up. Can't underestimate the tightness in our hip girdle here. Once you've got a little bit more of a welcome there, we're going to take the arm that's on the same side as the front leg, so right to right, and we're going to aim to go down. So if you can go down to the ground, cool. If you can't reach that, that's fine. The main priority here is to start getting rotation through the pelvis and the spine. So you're going to go down towards the ground and then unravel our bodies up, driving through the hips and the spine, and then raising the arm like that. Down and up, and we do that 5 more, or 5 in total. And I'm going to multitask. I'm going to get some cat love. There we go. Let me switch to the other side. So this is a great maneuver to see if there's any disparity between your two sides. So no one is completely symmetrical. Even to make that a goal is very relative upon what you're wanting to achieve. When you have a difference in strength and mobility on one side to the other side, there's always a reason, there's always a pattern behind it, and it's good to investigate. So I definitely feel more tightness on this side, probably my dominant leg. Alright, once you've established a bit of energy there, we go 5 down and up. Remember to focus primarily on the hips and the spine here. The arm up top and the arm up at all is just a bonus. And one more for luck. There we go. Oh, hey. What's the next move, Mr. Kitty? Let's go. Right, so let's go into our first low to ground maneuver. So continuing on with the theme of the hips and spine, what we're going to do is do a small sequence. I'll go through step by step. And all of this, if you need, definitely you should support yourself on your hands if you require. And especially if you're on a harder surface like this, it may not be used to it for the contact on the knees and the body. So support yourself if you need to. So what we do is from a wide seated position like this, you can lean on your hands or not. The feet are open, the knees are open so that we're making space. And we're going to drop and lean over to one side. So the first part of this is to get into a 90-90 seat position, roughly 90 degrees on both legs. And we're going to use this as a base to work from. Okay. So again, if you need to, you can lean. This will help offset the pressure here. But if you can, try to do this with your own body control and get the mobility of the hips to be a bit more awakened. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to lean onto the same side hand as the front leg. So left leg, left hand, other side would be the other side. What we're going to do from here is we're going to push through feet, knees, upper leg, everything that is in contact here, and our hand, and we're going to drive up our hips like this. So we're going to show as much of our pelvis over here, up and forward as possible. And then how much of your hand you lean on is up to you. So it may help you to open up the side of you, but if you're feeling strong, you can rely on your hand less and get more activation to the glutes and opening of this hip flexor area here. Right. Let's see what that looks like the other way. So when we transition through this, we just windscreen wiper over to the other side. We have that same base, roughly 90-90. We're going to place that hand there, more or less in line or just ahead of the knee. It depends on where you prefer. And we're going to drive through the legs and the arm. We're going to push our hips up here. So again, driving through that glute area, but mostly allowing this front of our body to open up here. All right, that's essentially the base we're working from. Once we're in that position, we're going to go from the side here. We're going to add to it with an overhead side bend. So we're really encouraging this long front fascial opening here, and then to allow those rib cage to really flare out as much as we can, and then pushing through the ground here aids in that sensation. Right, once we have that stay with me, we're going to go through this sequence. We're going to take that arm that's above us, place it pretty much as you would to get ready for a press-up posture or the top of a push-up position. And from here, we're going to dig this toe at the back to form a base. And we're going to go straight into a maneuver commonly known as a three-legged dog. We're going to draw our core, take that leg, go straight back and reach up high, push the ground, stretch the leg out like so. Right? Once we've gone through that range, we're going to bend, open, and twist. So now we're opening up the other side, the left side of our front, via this position. And then we reverse the process. So we come through, we place that leg just outside the hand on the right side. We bend that back leg a little more to receive, and we're back at our base. And that's the first sequence we're going to go through. So I'll demo one more time on the other side, and then we're going to do a round of 10 of those in total. Okay. So if you need to have a look at this for learning's sake, have a look. But if you prefer to go ahead and do some extra reps, I'm not going to stop you. So to flip around, windscreen, over to this way, we go through the same steps. We plant our hand, we drive the hips. This is important. We're not just skipping this maneuver here. We're encouraging length and range and activation here. Then we take that same hand to here. It's not going to be straight all the time. Use the toes, straight back into three-legged dog. We open up, push the floor away, and we drift back to where we were. We bring that in to get ready for supporting us. And that's it. All right. So it's important with this because it can feel very complex. It can be very distracting to maintain your breathing. All right. So breathe in, breathe out, and try to match the movement to the pace of your breathing. Try to keep it under relative control. And don't worry about how it looks. If it feels a bit too much, you can always gradually increase the pace or the range. Breathe through it, and as you go through the numbers, it should feel a bit more flowing and a bit more receiving to you. Let's go for it. Total of 10. So start to the left side. I'll talk you through, and then after a few numbers, we just keep moving and we follow along. Right. First one. Boom. Drive the hips, arm overhead, turn to straight down here. Three-legged dog, open to the side. Place the knee down, outside the hand, bend the leg a bit more, we transfer sides, place hand, drive hip, arm overhead, place, prep that foot, use your body to draw that core in, straight back, and really open up that hip here. First pair done. Let's go for it. On the side, lean, hips, arm, place. Through your core, your midline, reach. Got our visitor. To count for us. How many is that, kitty? Over. Remember, don't go too fast. Make sure quality is priority. Speed is good, but it can often disguise a bit of lack of strength or lack of mobility. We're not trying to show off here, we're trying to control the range. So enjoy this move, make it your own, figure out what works for you. Again, just a reminder to emphasis on the breath. Two more to go here. As the cat's reminding me, Justin, it's two more. Why are you slacking? And one more other way. There we go. Well done. By no means an easy sequence. It takes a lot of spatial awareness and control through the core. So I hope you managed it okay. And of course, if you need to tweak it, that's all good. We'll get better every day, right? Right, on to the next move. So that's our first major sequence. Okay, we've got 90-90, placing of the hands, turning on the spot and extending through. A very, very useful dynamic way of moving, whether you want to use it to get up and down off the ground. Could even be used in combative situations. But in overall, it's just a nice combination of strength and mobility. Next move, we're going to start from standing. And what we're going to do is roll down our spine, so from top down. We're going to crawl out into a position there. Using our hip opener, we're going to establish a base, kick the leg through, and reverse the situation and unravel the spine. So still on the accessible side, we're starting to get a bit more verticality and a bit more combination of hands on the floor, driving through. Let's go through it piece by piece. So from the head, neck, upper back, middle, all the way down, piece by piece, we're going to roll down. So chin to chest, slump the shoulders a little bit more. You can bend the knees slightly here if it helps you to roll. All the way until the hands get to the ground. If they don't get to the ground, that's cool. You can bend the knees more in order to get there. Or if you need to, you can slightly tip forward, but just watch your momentum. Then we walk out until we're into a high plank position. Classic push-up. No push-ups here today, or will there be? Then with this hip opener, instead of stepping right next to my hand, I'm going to go just that little bit wider. We're doing this to make space, because from here we're going to drift this leg through, supporting on our hand and our foot. We're going to reach out that foot in front. If you want more of a challenge, you keep it elevated. If you need to regulate more, you place it on the ground. But whatever you do out of those two, just make sure you're not falling on the shoulder capsule girdle here. You want to constantly be activating and pushing through, as well as, again, using these lovely glutes to elevate the hips. That's the end of that. We reverse the process back here, placing the hands and the feet into this high plank. Now you have a choice. When we walk back here, I like to go into a low squat, and from there, standing, elongating, and unraveling. Okay? Welcome to do that. If a squat is out of reach for you, or if you prefer, you can go straight to the standing high position where you unravel. Okay, so when we go through our numbers, I'll probably do a variety of both, but I definitely favor the squat. I like the feeling of that old shape, but make it your own. So let's go through one more, and then we'll go through the set of 10. All right, so from the top, head down, rolling down, piece by piece. Really be nice to that vertebra till you get to the ground, whether you bend your knees or not. You walk out. I'm going to demo the other leg, nice and wide. Here, as a base, the leg goes out, it returns, and I'm going to go through to my squat here. Stretch and unravel. And there we have it. Right. So we're going to alternate sides. In other words, once we're there, the foot that goes forward changes every time so that we're kicking through the other leg. Alternating for 10 reps. Let's go for it. Unravel. So if you like, keeping with my pace is good. But if you want to go faster or slower, that's up to you. And just remember, quality is first prize. So float, return, drive back to the squats. And unravel here. That's about the pace more or less I'll be going at. Remember, you still want to focus on breathing. If this feels a bit funky and if you're starting to get a bit woozy or dizzy, often slowing down helps, or often when you change your tilt, as in the angle of your head, that's where the biggest difference is. So when you go from looking to the ground to looking up or looking there, sometimes that has a bit of a dizzying effect. So if that's you, watch out, take your time. It's about at this point where we're going to take the pace just a little bit more up. We got 2 more in each direction. It's a very, very fun move, very, very practical. To breathe. Practice this move and let it become just something that's part of your repertoire. Eventually it's something you don't have to think about. It's just a way to get up and down. But again, at the very least, it's a great full body stretch and strengthen. Especially if it's someone you don't do a lot of push-ups or pressing maneuvers. We're developing our wrist strength quite well. Engaging our shoulder girdles, particularly there. Last one here. There we go. Well done. Definitely starting to feel the warmth of this sunrise. Fantastic. So if you'll excuse me, I will just allow some more of that fresh air onto my legs. Well done. So I hope you managed to go through with that sequence. Okay. That one's a very forward and back one. So in terms of connecting to other ways of maneuvering, you can add a little bit of spice into it. So turn, change the angle of your hand, your foot, and you'll see. So the challenge now that I present to you, the third part of this movement session, is to take those 2 sequences. So as a reminder, the first sequence we went roughly through these patterns, and second sequence where we rolled down, walked out, stepped through. All we're going to do now is take those 2 patterns and combine them in some way. So in this case, I'm not going to be too explicit about how to combine it. Sometimes we'll go through explicit examples, but what I'm encouraging now is a bit of freestyle, a bit of investigation. So those sequences both contain moves that you can segment. So in other words, you can do any one piece of those sequences on their own, and that's a great thing to do. What we're going to do now is see if there's moments in those 2 sequences where there's space or time or momentum or sequencing that allows us to sneak in a move from the other sequence. If this sounds vague to you, don't worry. It's basically interpretive maneuvering. And the more you understand the sensations through your body, what you can manage, where you can go, the better this will be. Why I'm encouraging this quite a lot in the movement sessions is that sometimes we can get a bit stuck in doing this and that's what we do, as opposed to being able to explore movement. So let's take those two, and I'm going to have 2 rounds set at 1 minute, and we're going to have a minute of combining them, whether you do one sequence then the next sequence like that, or if you can find ways to mash them up a little bit better. And don't worry about if you get stuck. If you get stuck, holding a position is a good challenge too. You can follow along, but everything I'm going to do is going to be randomized, and it's going to be a bit more improvised. So you may not always be able to spot and follow. So you should do the same. Improvise, see what happens with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that first minute. Think of that first round as kind of testing out things, figuring out what works, what doesn't. And then the second round, we really push through and make a bit more in the direction of a flow. All right, the first minute, we start right now. Okay, so. So what you'll find is you may need to every now and then add a little something. So if I'm going to go from here to here, I had to add a little something. That's completely fine. Just watch out if you end up doing the same pattern every now and then. We're already halfway. Keep playing, keep figuring it out. It won't always be perfect, that's okay. Movement perfection is a moving target and not always one we need to get to in order to benefit from the attempts. Last maneuver wherever you are there. And that's it. First round done. I hope you managed to find out a little bit of something there. Again, if you didn't, no worries. In the second round, we get a bit more explorative, a bit more courageous. And again, a reminder, don't listen to how I'm breathing now. It's up to you to find your control. Don't get too crazy with this. We want good quality, we want focus on the breath. Right, the second round, let's go for it. 1 minute. Last 20 seconds to go here. Really focus on it. Keep your attention on the details. Don't rush. After this, we're cooling down. Last maneuver wherever you are. And we meet back in the center. Here we go. Great stuff. Well done. It's always a weird thing whenever I instruct people to do this. There's a bit of trepidation, a bit of uncertainty. especially if someone is not used to kind of exploring what they can do with their bodies. Being explicit with instructions and doing specific maneuvers, of course, are important. They have their place, but we should all be allowed to just figure out our own bodies, our own space. There's so many benefits to this, not just to the physical realm, but for mental health, even emotional clarity, and much more. So whenever possible, just move. Right, well done. So let's bring ourselves back to a state of more calm. Of course, if you're going to be doing any other training after this, you can skip this completely, or you can regulate it in a way that allows you to transfer from what we've done into something that you can do next, especially if it's a different intensity. Okay, judge that for yourself, trust your instincts. If this was your movement session and you want to calm out, let's go along and follow. So we're going to start very similarly, or end very similarly to how we started, in a bridge position. And instead of churning out a bit of hip drive, what we're going to focus on here is that spine roll. So we've done a few spine rolls now, so it should be a bit more in tune. And what we're going to do is add an upper back stretch. So from your lying on your back, we're going to tuck that tail, and piece by piece, we're going to roll the spine from the bottom up off the ground. Just bring some more awareness again to the individual vertebra. Once we're here, we're going to shift over one side, and we're going to take an arm, and we're going to reach overhead. So whether you keep the head on the ground or up, it changes from person to person. We're going to come back, and we're going to roll that spine down. I like to keep my head on the ground, but some people prefer not to. Another variation we can apply here is with the arm that is on the bottom, you can bend it or use it to support you more. So I'm going to bend this one as an example and turn onto it, the shoulder, the hand and the arm to balance, and I reach out like that. I'm going to do two more like that each way. So really, the more you can get the hip drive, the more you can reach and extend and open up that front diagonal line. So one more each way, curling up piece by piece. A great move, especially if it's first thing in the morning, starting to unravel our upper backs, synchronize hips and shoulders, always a good thing. Okay, well done there. Cool, next move. What we're going to do is again start on that 90-90 sit, so we're making friends with this position very well. This time, instead of activating and elevating, we're going to just do the opposite. We're going to let gravity take us on this one. So set up your position here so that you can fold over yourself, and again, you can use your hands. If this is enough for you for stretching, cooling down, just stay here. And if you're ready for it, we're going to take a nice breath in and exhale and soften ourselves right over forward here. And then this is going to be a good old static hold. Basically like a half pigeon. I like to support my head here. You can do the same for your head like this, or if you're in a further range, all the way here. So breathe into it, relax, make the space. You've done the more challenging part of today. Take one or two more breaths here, and then we'll slowly come up. And go over to the other side. Again, the setup depends on your range of hips. The closer this foot is, generally the more accessible. The further away it is, the more of a rotation there is on their hip. So see how you go. I'm there today. Trust yourself. Nice big breath, or stay here if you need to, or halfway if you need to. And exhale and all the way forward. If you're here, great. If not, do what you can. This is not the time to push hard through and ignore the sensation. We want to encourage the body to allow this. We're showing it piece by piece that we're accessing a range, that it's safe to do so. The body can access range really well if we're in a much more calm state, if we're more ready for it. It's very good at protecting us and tightening up and making sure we're all attached. This isn't always a good thing. Take 2 more breaths here and we'll return to the top. Here we go. Not that we did too much folding forward and piking, but this is just a good idea to open up our front of the chest a bit more. So from a seated position, we're going to enter a reverse tabletop. So place your feet there and your hands behind you. Your fingers can point towards your butt or slightly out. We're going to drive the hips up, push the floor away. And again, as far as you can manage within reason, big stretch on the shoulders, the arms, maybe even the front of the hips. Last breath here. And we slowly return to seated. That's it. Of course, if you feel that you need to do any other moves to stretch out, calm down, if there's a bit of tension somewhere you need to assist, go for it. It's always something I try to do at the end of sessions, particularly like this, and if you have an extra moment, it's worth it to bring some reflection, some awareness to it, and some gratitude. So as we close off here, firstly I thank you. I hope you're able to try out something new or improve on something you know. I appreciate that you're watching this and that you're giving it a try. So let's bring some attention back to our breathing. You can sit, you can be lying down if you prefer. And let's take a few moments thank yourself for showing up and for adding to the library of health and movement and self-realization. Even if it seems simple to do sequences and patterns and maneuvers like this, it really is a gateway for us to investigate what we can do, where we can improve, and we take that energy with us into our days and hopefully grow ourselves and better impact the world around us and the people that we engage with. So you're welcome to stay here if you're in a good place to do some meditation or just focus more on some breathing. I'm going to leave you now, but certainly with the idea to see you very soon. Thank you, and stay in motion.